Yeah. Well, what I did is we took the medals off my uniform, my dress uniform that I wore on the way home, the buttons, and then the medals, and these are the dog tags that I had in service. This is a can opener that you can open metal cans with. This one here is a combat infantry badge. This is the company I served with, Alpha Company, 4th to 3rd, 11th Light Infantry Brigade.
Yeah.
This is Bob Fees shooting at that gorilla with the M60 machine gun.
Okay.
And this guy here is Paul Snow. He was a forward observer. Well, that wasn't me too, but you can tell we were in the mountains where the mountains are all around us. Mm-hmm. Sergeant stripes when I made sergeant. Yeah, so that's just a little memorabilia. And then there's the helmet that you had made for me, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Life on a farm was life on a farm. It was challenging at times, but I learned a lot of good work ethic, and just there's a lot to be said about growing up on a farm. I was the oldest of 9. After graduation, my fellow graduates and relatives started to go off to service, and I felt it was inevitable that someday I may have to go. So I traveled to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I went in on February 25th, 1969. I had told my folks that I'd be back probably in 2 days because the typical draftee went there, had his physical, came back, and then went into service. I was heading towards this door, and I could hear someone asking, are you going to go Army or Marine? Army or Marine? And I'm like, well, I don't know. My chancellor came into the door, and I says, Army or Marine? I guess Army. So we go into the next room, and we're standing there, and all of a sudden they have us raise our arms. They're swearing us in. And I says, I think I'm in the wrong room. I'm supposed to be going home. No, you're not. You're going to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So I didn't have the opportunity to call my parents to tell them I'm not coming home. I had 9 weeks of training. And then from there, we were bused to Polk, Louisiana for advanced infantry training. And that's kind of where my military career started. There was some pretty intense training. We had some survival training. We had training for if we were captured. I remember one particular instance where they dropped us off and we had to read our compass and go through the swamps and bayous of Louisiana in the middle of the night and just use our compass as survival. The combat instructors were former Vietnam veterans. I guess at that point in training, I didn't realize that how serious they were about training us for combat. To a certain point, I was ready to go do what I was trained to do. There was that chance that I might not make it back. I came back in July of '69 to Central Wisconsin Airport. Got to spend, I'm assuming, 2 weeks, I don't remember, 2 or 3 weeks before they flew us over. A couple of weddings I went to. I partied. You know, I spent time talking more with my parents than the siblings. They were younger because for them or me, we didn't know what lied ahead. On the day that I left for Vietnam from home, my mom and the rest of the kids we all hung together. We had breakfast and just kind of hung out. It was a very emotional day. And I remember my mom and two of my sisters took me to the airport, and my dad met me at the airport, and we said our goodbyes and stuff, and My father was the kind of guy that had a really tough time ever saying, "I love you." That was probably one of the only times that I heard him say that. I guess his love was understood. It wasn't that he had to say it. So it was a long flight. I'm guessing 18, 20 hours, somewhere in there. Got to Vietnam, flew into Cam Ranh Bay, which was a big base in Vietnam where everybody came. And we were kind of a zone between the Ho Chi Minh Trail and the rice paddies of South Vietnam. We were there a week or two before we got assigned to a unit, basically trying to get us to get acquainted with the Vietnamese way of life, their culture, what we might be facing in the field as far as not just our enemy, but everything from poisonous snakes to tigers to everything. So we had a little bit of training in all that part of it because that really wasn't ever covered in the United States. And I was assigned to a Company A, 4th Battalion, 3rd Infantry, 11th Brigade. We had to get flown up to the fire base, I think about a week later. And we came down into the valley and marched down. It took us about a day to just come off the top of that mountain. One of the sad parts of where I was in Vietnam is it was called the Free Fire Zone. The casualties of war aren't always enemy. I didn't realize that till later, but most of those people were Hmongs, and they were farmers. Vietnamese in that area were told to leave. Not everybody left. So you had to sort out what was enemy, what was not enemy, and that was hard. That was a challenge that probably touched your soul a little bit. The second night, that night we got attacked. None of us got killed, but several, the Viet Cong, were killed. I said, what are we going to do with the bodies? And he says, well, we'll just leave them for the crows. Set up a little bit higher up the next night. Got attacked again. And the guy next to me got shot right in the head. And the switch went on. There were more. That was our enemy. And after that, it's hard to believe, but that something could trigger you from being compassionate to a human being to being a killer that quick. On September 21st, 1969, we ate supper with a couple of people. The three that I knew, there was one from Ohio that was a good friend, along with one from Madison, Wisconsin. And we started getting mortar rounds coming in from the mountains. The only mistake we made is we were in a valley. It echoed off. You don't know which way they're coming from. And there was quite a few killed. And one of them was my friend. And, it was a long night. A couple of foxholes got direct hits. And took out 5, 6 at a time. So we carried them out, put them in the body bag, and had to leave them on a pile there until morning because they were flying out injured. And the company was getting low on people, so they flew in a recon platoon to help us make it through the night. And they had these planes that came and had kind of lit up the sky for us that entire evening. But so There's other things in Vietnam, but that was my longest night in Vietnam. For me, it was always when I was on night duty. Everybody was calm. It's just you and the moon and God. That was my peacetime. You're looking at the moon and you're thinking, it's the same moon I'd be seeing in the United States. It's the same stars I'd be seeing in the United States. And, you're across the world, but you're really not. You reflect on being able to be alive. You reflect on your family at home. Nothing serious happened there. And you could reflect on the day that just had gone by. One regret I have, as far as enemies go, I carried a machine gun, M60 for a while. And I remember going on a patrol and came around a corner, and he had his gun up and I had mine up, and I just started spraying bullets, and the two guys alongside of me were shooting too, but the machine gun had come out so fast. The enemy got killed. I have the bayonet I bought home off his AK-47. I have the sandals he was wearing. And the part that probably disturbs me the most is I have the picture of his two kids. We're somewhere in North Vietnam right now. There's two boys that may be responsible for taking their father's life. So, finishing up in Vietnam, coming back, that's probably one of the biggest lingering things I have. I can't confirm that was all my kill. I mean, there was other people involved in it too, but that war was hard to understand. You're kind of wondering when it would all end, when you got closer to going home. In Fort Lewis, Washington, they told us to probably come back in our civilian clothes, because in Chicago, when we landed there were protesters and people spitting at you, but I wore my uniform all the way home. I didn't care. It was tough for me to understand as a soldier why they were protesting. It was a confusing time for me. For the first couple of years, I felt like my life was filled with anger. I could speak easily to fellow veterans. I'd listen to what they had to say, and they'd listen to what I had to say. Because everybody's got a different story. I'd struggle about having to be on a defense all the time. My biggest regret was I came back on a Thursday or Friday, and my mother wanted me to wear my uniform to church because she was proud of me, And I told her I'm out of the Army. I'm not doing this, And probably 10 years ago, she was alive, and I told her, I said, I have one regret. I never did wear that uniform to church for you. I said, you it's 14 months or 15 months that I was gone, you probably cried every night, So my wife and I took her to church one morning, and I had it sitting in the back of my, I had pins and medals on it, and it all sitting in my back seat. I said, Mom, today I can't wear that uniform to church because it won't fit, but I'll take you to church in that uniform's alongside of you. So, I want to get that part of me behind me. There's a lot of people that struggle even today, but I know even at the Veterans Administration, they forewarned me that after I retired to contact them if I had any areas of concern with PTSD because now I've got too much time to think. You know, the support is there now. Even if it wasn't back then, it's there now. Out of all the holidays, Veterans Day and the holidays, the ones that affects me the most is Memorial Day. You lose some people that give the ultimate sacrifice. So I don't think I could have done this, 15, 20 years ago. But and like I said, it's to the point now with still some sorrow. And like I said, Memorial Day to me is one of real recognition for the real people. So.
I'm thankful, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
And I'm your neighbor, so you see me a lot, good or bad. But I'm glad we met.
Yeah, and I, Josh, I appreciate what you do. I mean, there's, for your career that you've chosen, it's. We made the helmet for me for Christmas and stuff, but that helmet means a lot more to veterans than you think it does.